So I'm gonna get this thing going here. Let me see. Let's share screen. All right. Welcome. Wish I knew how to open this and have it open. Wait, why is that happening? Oh, present. There we go. All right. Michelangelo, here you go. This is a little bit about St. Francis Wrestling. Just going to introduce you to some basics about the program, and then we have some athletes that are gonna and the rest of the coaching staff gonna talk to you. I'm Coach Muleman. Coach Cobb's on here. Coach Benjamin's on here. We have Ryan Luna on with us. We have Juan Duke and Julia Marie Greeley also joining us. So here we go. This is our motto. This is what we focus on. These things are the things that not only get you through a wrestling practice or a wrestling season or a wrestling career, but these things also get you through life. And so they're the things we focus on, working hard, discipline, and intensity. And that's the motto for our program. We have a program that boasts growing participation over the last 3 years. The boys program has been a member of the WCAL since 1985. I was actually coaching at that time. I believe, I don't think Coach Cobb is that old. I don't think he was wrestling in 1985. But
not yet.
Yeah, I've been around the WCA or the wrestling program for a long time. We anticipate 50 returning athletes this year, and 14 of those seniors. That is always a goal of the program, is to maximize the senior participation. I think of those 14 seniors, more than half are fourth-year seniors. Our girls program became semi-official in 2017. In the last couple years, they have also grown. We have 9 returning Lady Lancers, and 2 of those would be seniors, one of them a fourth-year senior. So great participation, great turnout. Our coaching staff is first rate. If you look at that, we have 3 former Division I wrestlers now in the program. We have a couple of alumni, Coach Muleman and Coach Contreras, wrestled for the program. We hired last year, we were able to add a women's coach to the program, and Coach Batanzo, very experienced in the international level even. So that's our coaching staff. Successes, multiple WCAL titles throughout the years we've been in the WCAL. We were 2 times CCS dual team champions back in the 90s. Multiple CCS top 4 team finishes, and we're looking to get back in that range this year. Last year, we were 7th in the CCS, and our entire starting team is returning to the mats this year. So individual successes, we have 2 returning WCAL champs, 13 returning CCS qualifiers, 2 returning CCS champions, 15 overall throughout the years. We have 43 CCS placers and 38 state qualifiers over the years. 1 returning state placer this year. We have 10 in the school's history, and we have the only WCAL state champion, not just St. Francis state champion, but WCAL state champion as well in the program. So that's we do posters every year. These are cool. Returning varsity and the girls will be added to this year. Returning varsity will be added. So we put those out every year. Coach Benjamin's our specialist on that, and that's our little bit about our program. So now we just want to give a couple of our athletes. I don't know who wants to go first today, but we have Ryan Luna, Juan Duke. Juan Duke's the senior. We should make him go first. And Julia Marie Greeley. So I think Juan's up first. I'll let him unmute and just talk a little bit about his experience in the program.
So for me, wrestling has been like
big part of my life at St. Francis. It sort of gives me a balance between schoolwork and athletics, and just like the teamwork. Even though it's an individual sport, there's a lot of teamwork, a lot of helping each other get better, and I just love that as in the sport. Yeah.
Ryan?
Off of piggybacking off of what Duke said, like, yeah, even though this is like wrestling is an individual sport, you still get the same feel of like a brotherhood or like a sisterhood. Like the girls wrestling, like we're all still like teammates, helping each other, like train hard every day, and after practice just like hanging out, or like when we go on trips, especially when we go to Nevada, we want to hang out and like still like focus on competing. And also like wrestling gives you like a sense of like awareness, and like almost like builds your mentality of like, okay, I gotta work hard to be successful, and that kind of falls into like life and school. And coaches are really like pushing for good grades while you're still in wrestling, so it's also super helpful to keep your mind straight.
Awesome. And Julia?
Right. So bouncing off of what both of Brian and Juan are saying, I feel like I can hear my voice. Okay. Wrestling kind of just built a family for me almost, because before I joined it, my friendships were kind of off and on. And I think from wrestling, I've made some really good connections, and I've made some of my best friends from it, just because we're in the room with each other every single day, and then we spend every Saturday together. So it's just a lot of time commitment, and with that comes a lot more building of connections and things like that. And it really personally taught me a lot of grit. I figured out that the more I put into everything, the more I get out of it. So if I practice more and I try harder, usually that makes me become more successful. And from that, I was able to apply it to a lot more other things in my life as well. So overall, I kind of just flourished. And I'm sure you've seen that a little bit, Michelangelo, from living in the same house with me. At the same time, though, it's a lot of hard work. You've seen my off days where I come back from practice and I just like fall asleep on the couch, and then I wake up, I'm like, oh no, I have homework, and it's like 11. So yeah, the time commitment's a lot, but it's really, really worth it. And if you did it and I did it, it'd be like a power duo. So come do it with us.
Welcome to, I see Tracy and Bill, welcome. I thank the athletes for their comments. Coaches, do you have anything? I noticed Coach Muleman has joined us, at least in spirit. I see his picture there. Any coaches, you have anything to add? Coach Benjamin, Coach Cobb?
Yeah, just we're excited to continue to grow. To have majority of our upperclassmen be our varsity starters is always the hope, and so that's why we want a big team. And every year, especially this year, there's probably going to get kids that will test positive, or something will happen if we can have a season. And so having people that can fill in spots every year, there's 1 or 2 injuries that we want to cover, and so we love a big team. And if you have a weight, we want you. So we're excited to have you.
I remember coming on board several years ago and going out and talking to the freshman football team, because we always go out and talk to freshman football when they're nearing the end of their season, and cross country and water polo. We talk to all those guys and helping them realize that as a school and as a program, we have the ability to grow and really improve, because there was a time not too long ago when St. Francis was the power of the WCL and one of the top teams in CCS year after year after year. And I told those freshmen that year that we could be there again, and we've slowly been improving and getting to that position. So one of the first couple of years, we were like 6th in the WCL at the tournament, and this last year we were 7th in CCS. So that's a big difference, considering in the WCL there's only like 7 schools, and in CCS we're talking 100 schools. So that's a big improvement that we've seen, and it's due to the hard work of some of the athletes you see here, and then some of the people that obviously weren't able to make it today, but it's their dedication, their hard work that's brought us to where we are. And hopefully we can bring some of you new blood that's coming in and help you to grow and achieve some of your your goals you have personally and academically and athletically as well.
All right. Thank you, coaches. Coach Muehlman, anything you want to chime in at all? Coach Muehlman, the younger.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, no, I'll just say a little bit. It's definitely been fun watching the team grow. Like Tom said, there was a time where we were a powerhouse, and I was lucky enough to be part of that team. And seeing where we're headed, I definitely think we can be on that same level, if not better. During my time, we had 3 years in a row where we had someone in the state finals. And I think that's something that we can definitely achieve with where we're going with this team. I think we're really on the upward trajectory to hit that kind of mark. So really looking forward to it. It's a lot of hard work, but as a kid growing up with the sport, it's made me a much better person overall. It's taught me a lot of things. And I just think it's one of the greatest sports there is that you can even be a part of. So would love to have you guys out. Would love to have your kids out. Really looking forward to having a season this year.
All right. Michelangelo, Tracy, Bill, any questions for any of us?
Yeah, my name's Bill Taylor, and my grandson hopes to go to St. Francis. And one of the sports he is interested in is wrestling, but he's never wrestled. And I guess I'm wondering what you have to teach him wrestling. He's built like a wrestler. He's a catcher in baseball, and he's about 5'6", 160. And I think he's got the strength and hopefully the will to do it. But I'm just wondering how you make a kid into a wrestler.
Well, a lot of hard work, but we start the first thing we do for freshmen, for incoming freshmen, and we actually put everybody kind of through the same program, even if they have experience. But we do a camp. It's a week-long camp, and we introduce the sport. A very basic top neutral position, top position, bottom position for technique. But we spend more time talking about, hey, this is what's involved here. This is what's about. This is what it looks like. This is, and so they go through the whole kind of an overview without doing a bunch of technique, right? But an overview of what it takes to be a wrestler. What kind of commitment it takes, the basic sort of skills that it takes, the work ethic that's involved in completing a season, right? Let alone a career. But just to give them an idea of, hey, this is what you can expect. And from there, after that week is up, they get to choose whether or not they want to stay with us. We do not cut, right? We keep anybody who chooses after that week to stay with us. So that's what we've had some success with that, bringing kids in. It also lets a few kids know right away, this isn't for me. It's not for me. So we have that introduction period. And then our staff is really an exceptional staff. I mean, so we break it down. We have coaches that, lighter weight coaches, middleweight coaches, upper weight coaches. We have coaches across the span. Again, we brought in a women's coach last year, and she'll be returning. So we have enough staff. We have enough coaches. We have enough wrestlers that have been through the program and understand. So we kind of siphon them through. We do split the practices. So the early practices are for the novice wrestlers, and we focus on the very basic technique. We train, we wrestle live as we get going, but we really focus on just basic technique, lots of repetition, lots of drill, to get them a good basis for starting.
I think Juan had something he wanted to add too, Coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started off as I never had any wrestling experience before in my freshman year. So it's just a nice introduction to the program that first week. And it really helps you learn the pace and how intense it's going to be during the season. So it's just a nice introduction.
And Bill, I'll add too that out of the 30 freshmen that we normally get every year, probably 25 of them have never wrestled a single day in their life. And so everyone's kind of learning together, which has been fun.
And that's good to hear, because that's what I was hoping to hear, understanding that not every kid's got the wrestling experience, but you're going to get them into the program, get them conditioned, teach them wrestling, because it's a good sport. I did a little bit in high school, Well, I'm 75, so it's prehistoric times. But all I'm trying to say is I know what the value of team sports and wrestling in particular. His primary sport's baseball, but wrestling would do a lot to get his strength and competitiveness up. And I think it's a great sport, and I appreciate that you guys coach.
I think out of our we have 3 catchers, or used to be catchers, in our wrestling team right now.
One of our
Several.
top juniors is also a top baseball player this year. He's got a tough one. If he might have to double up this year to do both, because wrestling and baseball are the same second season for the 2021.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID, not because that's a transition we're making.
It's a real challenge. You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Another question, it has to do with academics. What's the academic requirement for the sports in general?
Well, there's a minimum, but and it's a 2.0 GPA. Academic, integrity. Also the your social standing, right? You have to be in good standing for discipline wise. I mean, the minimums aren't usually what we're talking about with most of our athletes. Actually, Coach Muleman the younger is our head sweeper. He spends a lot of time ahead of grading periods, ahead of marking periods, really following students individual by individual to see where their grades might be a little bit low. We try to figure out who needs help, how to get them the best help. Students that are really looking to excel, right? We try to get them additional help as needed. We're pretty flexible when it comes to academics. With students saying, "Hey, today I have to do this, and I'm going to miss a little bit of practice." We give them some alternatives, but there's quite a bit of support at the school, and then from the program. We know it's a priority. It is definitely the number one priority, but learning to balance too between once you choose to participate in a sport, you make a commitment. So we help them learn how to balance so that they can keep that commitment, and that's part of the discipline part of our program.
Yep, makes sense. It takes a lot of commitment academically and time-wise for sports. So, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy, did you have any questions? I don't, maybe.
No, not at all.
How about any questions at all?
Well,
Yep.
Yes, gain weight.
Gain weight, gain muscle. Don't just eat donuts, right? But yes, no, I mean, there are students that cut weight. There are students that cut a lot of weight, but they've been doing it, most of their lives, and so they're used to it. But that's not something we highly encourage, right? You can ask Ryan. I'm always on him about putting on weight, and I don't know if his little younger brother Bryce is there. I'm all constantly on him. We were working on put weight on one dude, right? But yes, I'm not a major fan. You could see my son. He was a heavyweight, and that's what I wanted him to be. I didn't want him to cut weight, right? I wanted him to get big. So big and strong, right? We can't be big and donut bellies, but if you put on the strength, you can go whatever weight you want to go. Doesn't make it fun, right? I mean, there's a point where you say, okay, well, I got 3 or 4 pounds, something like that, and you can work at it, but it's got to be fun too. There has to be something, a reward in it. Elite level wrestlers, it's part of the thing, and they're used to it. But when you're not used to it, it makes it very challenging to have a good time and do it. So we have discussions. It's all about discussions. It's all about our goals your goals, and us figuring out how to help you best achieve your goals. So we go from that standpoint. But yeah, I mean, some students will look at, our athletes will look at it and say, hey, there's an open spot at this weight. I want to get down there. We had a freshman last year, Leo Maiulo, And he basically did that. He said, hey, this is what I weigh, but over the course of the year, I want to be that weight at the end of the year. So I want to be a varsity wrestler. And he was, I mean, that was a goal of his. And so we kind of led him down that road little by little. And by the end of the year, he was not only a varsity wrestler, he made it the second day of the CCS meet. So,
and he was somebody who had very little experience wrestling prior to high school too. His brother was a good wrestler, CCS placer for us in the past, but Leo himself had not wrestled before high school, other than coming in doing a little bit of stuff. But he had some experience with some other with martial arts and things like that. So,
Great.
But that's that one other thing about the program is we have the 3 levels of competition. If Bill is still there, one of the ways that our athletes get better is because with our coaching staff, we're able to run 3 full schedules. I mean, we send freshmen to freshman tournaments, right? And so they get they have some where they compete at a kind of frosh soft level, but there's also just freshman opportunities where they're pitted against other freshmen, and so they get some sort of success, right? It's something impossible to guarantee, but you get some sort of level of success because you're competitive, right? You're not wrestling always against varsity level athletes. So that's another benefit of the program for the younger.
Yeah, for a novice, that makes sense. That's good. Yeah. What about weight training? Do you have a program?
Yes, in fact, we're the only sport in the whole school that has our JV and freshmen allotted time in the weight room. Now it's an after practice time slot, but we are the only program that does sends our novice group up at least once a week. And that has been something that I've insisted on, and it's worked out pretty well, I think.
And they're taught how to lift properly.
Absolutely, that is the number one benefit of our weight training program. We have two strength coaches, full-time strength coaches, and they learn in PE, right? They learn the lifts, that we're working on after practice in their PE class. So it's part of their their initial training, kind of more of the core type training would happen in PE, but they also learn the basics of the lifts that they'd be doing in a wrestling workout, and in the wrestling, or any athletic workout. But our freshmen get that extra bonus through wrestling.
In today's world, the COVID problem, are we allowed to bring my grandson, for instance, to the facility and walk around?
Yeah, you can schedule tours of the whole school, and that's done through the admissions office. I'm going to be honest with you. We got brand new wrestling mats, and I've been a little lazy because open house is not live. So if we were live and in person, I would have had to have those done. But I've been working pretty hard trying to get the room prepped to put them down, but they're not down yet. So right now it's kind of a mess, but we actually have a really nice room. And it's cleaned regularly. The last 3 years, we've really minimized any kind of skin issues. They have some plans in place for COVID. Our whole campus, right, is if you were there, is all directed with safety issues around COVID and protocols around COVID. We're watching very carefully what's going on around the country, because wrestling's happening now. Wrestling's happening all over the country. And so we're watching how that goes and how to, the best maintain it. I think, and again, I'm biased, but I also coach football, but it is much easier to mitigate COVID in wrestling because it's one-on-one. You have your partner, or maybe you have a group of 3 that works together, but it's not 11 on 11 like football where you're hitting different guys on every single play and it's close contact, but when you're breathing on each other, it happens in every sport, basketball, whatever. So I want to stay positive about it. And it is happening. So we're going to have some data and the best ways to mitigate it moving forward.
It won't be easy, but I know you'll work it out.
Yeah. I think just keeping the students, the individual students being responsible is a real key component.
Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts or questions?
Yeah, I'll just throw one thing out there. One thing that I try and do, especially during the off season, is I try and do some weekend optional stuff, to help. Right now, we can only do so much, but we are running Saturday workouts for kids who can come outside on the football field, just doing some conditioning stuff, some body weight training. But especially kind of once this whole COVID thing clears up, I'm usually in the room running optional workouts on the weekends. If for anyone that wants to come in and work on.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for visiting, and I hope you got some information. On it's pretty easy to find our emails on the website. Let us know if there's anything we can do, questions we can answer. We definitely want to make sure. I think they have interest forms to fill out. Make sure you fill that out, because then you show up on our list of potential wrestlers, and that helps us with admissions and everything else too. So I do appreciate you attending today, and hope you found out some good things.
Thank you very much.
All righty, take care.